Welcome to Make It Yourself Living. In this video, we're going to discuss paella. Now, this is a paella-like dish, and I'll explain all that in a minute. You're looking at about a pound of chopped up pork loin, and I also threw in approximately a green pepper, although I prefer red. And then you'll also see some green onions. I would suggest possibly using half of onion of your choice, but my husband and my eldest can't stand onions, so to save myself from listening to a whole bunch of complaints, I use green onions. So we have about a pound of pork. You have about 3 or 4 green onions and some green pepper. And right now I threw in about half a tablespoon of paprika, and you're going to see half a tablespoon of turmeric. I don't use saffron. Saffron is expensive, and here comes the turmeric. Turmeric will give it a similar taste, but without the cost. I bought saffron once. It cost me over $20 for a few threads that I could only use in 2 recipes. That was just too expensive for me. So now I'm browning up the pork. The pork doesn't have to be entirely cooked because you're going to do other stuff to it, and it's going to be here for a little bit, so don't worry about that. Now, why do I create paellas without fish? Well, I did a CAT scan way back in the 80s, and afterwards I broke out in hives. And I had the contrast. The contrast had iodine in it. So they told me, if you're allergic to iodine, stay away from fish. So I did. But I wanted to try it again, and I had some shrimp and some cod without any problems. So I decided to start adding fish back into my paellas. So here, like I said, I'm just browning up what I have in there so far, which is half a tablespoon of paprika, half a tablespoon of turmeric, and I do believe I add half a tablespoon of garlic in here for a minute, and then continue to cook that till there's the garlic until it's just about done. Don't worry about getting it fully done, just mostly. And then it'll continue to brown up. And what I'll do is try not talk throughout the whole video so we could shorten it a bit. In a few minutes, you're going to see me throw in some rice. What rice should you use? In my humble opinion, whatever rice you want to use. I wanted just some regular long grain rice. However, I didn't have any in my house at the time, and I certainly didn't want to run to the store for rice. So I used jasmine. It still came out delicious, so use whatever rice you want. I had some barrio, but that stuff does release a lot of starch, and I didn't want stuff to be clumpy, so I stuck with the jasmine. And you'll see me dump it in there in a minute, mix it around. And there's the rice I was talking about. If I were using just a regular rice, I might kind of brown it up a bit, but jasmine, I just mixed it together and then added the 2 cans of stewed tomatoes. So this is a cup of rice. Now the stewed tomatoes I use are Safeway brand. It's not because I've got some allegiance to Safeway, it's just I like the product. It's a Safeway brand salsa-styled stewed tomatoes, and they're quite good. They do have some puree in them, which probably amps up that tomato taste, but I like them a lot, and you'll see me dump them in here pretty quick. That's the first can. I do put 2 cans in, so it's 2 cans of stewed tomatoes with 1 can of, not can, but cup of whatever rice you want to use. Now, if you decide or you don't want to use Safeway, that's okay. Use whatever is your favorite stewed tomatoes. I would recommend possibly something with roasted potatoes, possibly, if you can find one, or possibly even a can of Rotel to give it some additional taste. Now, this is going to continue to cook until the rice is done. Now, I did put a cover over it because I didn't want all the moisture to be evaporating out there. I needed it to cook my rice. So that's what we're doing right now. We're mixing it occasionally and just waiting for the rice to cook. Now, once the rice is about 5 minutes away, you can see me dumping in some shrimp. Now, the shrimp is frozen. I messed up on that, but this shrimp has the heads removed, there are no veins, and there are no tails. So it doesn't matter for me if they're frozen because they are going to cook really fast. And that's what I'm doing here. Now, to defrost shrimp, you do not want to treat it like meat. Leave it on the counter and let it just defrost at room temperature. You don't do fish that way. If you're going to defrost shrimp, what you need to do is put it in a bowl of cool water. You don't want it to do room temperature. It comes down a little more safely that way. Or pop it in the fridge a couple of days before and let the fridge defrost it down. Still like when you're defrosting a turkey. You don't want to defrost a turkey at room temperature because it has a chance for bacteria to grow. Same here. So if you have to defrost shrimp, do it in the fridge or do it in a bowl of cool water and let it come down like that. So here, I threw it in frozen, which wasn't the smartest move, but it did cook and it was still quite delectable. So you want to cook it until the shrimp turns a pink color. When it's pink, that means it's cooked. So if you got a bag of pink shrimp, it's already cooked. You're not going to want to use that because if you add more heat to it, that shrimp's going to get tough. You want to aim for raw shrimp, and that's what I got here. So I'm going to cook it just until done, and quite honestly, if you taste the rice and you think it needs 5 more minutes, that's the time to throw the shrimp in. So here the shrimp will cook, and as soon as it's done, dinner's done. And I did throw about a pound worth. I had a 2-pound bag. They were colossal, so they were larger. And I threw about half of it in. And to tell you, my geyser shrimp nuts would not even cover it because I was a little slow getting to dinner and I did not get any shrimp. The guys got it there before I did, so. But that's what it is. It's just shrimp and you cook it until it's pink in color. Now, this isn't a very hard dinner to make. From start to finish, I would say you're looking at 20-25 minutes maybe. And it depends because for me, the green peppers were already cut up. I had them in the freezer, so I just pulled out some saying, well, I had to chop up the onions, but I do tend to keep green onions in the freezer too. So it's all ready to go. So I'd have to say about 20-25 minutes from. And what I'll say here, as I say in most of these, if you like what I'm doing, please feel free to give a thumbs up. If you know of any way to improve what I do, I'd love to hear it. And if you want to, you can subscribe to see whatever else I come up with. And I do have other ideas, so kind of wait and see. I try to move as quick as I can, but sometimes I'm a little slow on these. One thing you'll see as this ends is a picture of finished dinner. I'm hoping I do lift up this lid so I can show you how the shrimp is turned pink. If not, when you look at the finished dinner, you'll see little pink things popping up. That's the shrimp. And here we go. It might be a little tough to see with all the different colors, but they are turning pink. So I do hope you enjoy it if you try it. We eat it here. It's in our rotation. We eat it here quite often. And thank you for being part of this video, and you're just about ready to see the final product. Thank you again for visiting with me.